So episode 1 of She-Hulk has arrived to very mixed reviews. Lots of people are going back and forth saying that it sucks, it's woke, keep politics out of my asshole, and up around the corner please. And then we have people that said, I loved it, it's made by women, for women. If you didn't like it, you're an incel or a misogynist. Now that the show is out, I can come again, which might actually not even be a joke. But that's typically the kind of responses I've been seeing. And I gotta say, in my opinion, it's a bit of a mix. Well, not the come part, but hear me out. Firstly, I think they would have benefited greatly from dropping like 2 or 3 episodes because this series is 9 episodes long, so I don't think it would be that drastic of an episode drop. This first episode is only about 30 minutes long, and I feel like I still don't really even know Jennifer Walters that much. This episode is a recap of how Jennifer got her powers, which was like in the promos, the Zakarian ship comes out of nowhere, leads to them crashing, and for Bruce's blood to mix with Jen's, causing her to transform and go savage. That ship, no doubt, is holding the seed of Bruce Banner, Scar. Can't wait for that because that should lead up into World War Hulk, which we'll get into later. But I actually really like this scene because they set up the cousin dynamic between Bruce and Jen, as well as pay homage to the GOAT, Mr. Oscar Isaac, with the chopstick Cheetos, which eating with your hands is confirmed better. It just hits different. But if you need to do work, I highly recommend the chopstick method. Also, they do explain how Bruce reverts back to human form with a device he made, which I really like. They didn't just ignore that. It seems like something they would have just glanced over, but I'm glad they acknowledged it. Before this though, we do get a quick excerpt of a closing speech from Jen, which was about power and accountability, which I'm sure will play a role in the series. But the first point of contention people have been having is with this dude and him basically saying, I could say your speech better, which personally, I don't know if this is supposed to be a mansplaining thing or if dude's just being a hater, okay? I'm not sure what the writers were going for, although at the end, what she says about incompetent men, explaining her area of expertise, it makes it seem like they're trying to address like a mansplaining thing. Like, I don't know if there's a bunch of dudes at her law firm that are doing this to her constantly or if it was just that mofo, but it felt a little late on thick in my opinion, but it doesn't really detract from the show. So next we go back to after the crash and she wakes up in human form, all ragged, and sneaks into a bar bathroom to clean up, to which she's met with a bunch of other ladies that basically assume she's been domestically abused, but don't really act accordingly. Like, they don't call no one or anything, but it is what it is. Next point of contention would be the scene that follows with her outside and the 3 dudes approaching her, then getting mad when she walks away. Jen even uses the old I'm waiting for my boyfriend line. People are saying, yo, this is what women go through, that's why it's in the show. And opposite to that, people are saying, yo, this is painting men out to be monsters, which in my opinion, this was meant to highlight the men that don't have the emotional intelligence or social awareness of their presence. I can't say I understand, of course, but I can definitely empathize. If 3 mofos were rolling up on me, and it doesn't even have to be in the dead of night outside of a bar, I'd immediately be like, shit, I'm about to get jumped. And with women going through life on average being smaller and weaker than most people around them, that's gotta be frightening. The only criticism I'd say is that this message seems repetitive. Like, I feel like I've seen this like a dozen times in female-led movies and shows and in feminist type media in a very similar way. Hopefully Jen expands on how that made her feel throughout the series, but I do feel like most grown-ass men know to move better than this. So like most of the time it's like, yo, y'all 2 hang back, I'm gonna go try to mac on this chick. If she's walking away, especially in the dead of night, yo, I'm gonna look like a creep, I'm gonna fucking hang back too. But this is to highlight those instances of men that are not as aware. But that's when she hulks out and Bruce stops her from potentially killing them. They thought we wouldn't notice Roxxon back there. Marvel, you ain't slick. Then this is where we get to the Gamma Lab, and this is my favorite part of the episode. We get more Hulk, and look, people on the internet for the most part don't like Professor Hulk. I don't have as much fervor in that department, but I understand why. We had only 1 Hulk movie that's barely even acknowledged by the MCU, it seems, and Mark Ruffalo never got his trilogy like other characters. Ant-Man not only has a trilogy before Superman players, but also the Hulk. Hulk is a character that absolutely deserves a trilogy, but I don't hate or get mad about Professor Hulk because I understand that Universal, who owns Hulk's film rights, at least up until 2023, it's rumored, hasn't been willing to play ball for the last decade. A counter I've heard to that is, well, if they can work out a deal for Spider-Man, then they should be able to get a deal to make Hulk movies. That's no excuse for Marvel Studios. And firstly, we don't know that at all, okay guys? Maybe Universal is a bigger bitch than Sony. We have no idea. It seems that way though. Regardless, we haven't been able to get our Hulk fix, and so they tried getting Hulk's arc out through other people's films and the Avengers movies, but that hasn't been enough. People say they nerfed Hulk, which I wouldn't entirely disagree with, but the thing is, Professor Hulk is the end to Hulk's live action arc. This this is where Hulk would have naturally gone, finding balance within himself. The problem is we haven't had enough in between. I'm desperate for more Savage Hulk. Let's explore Joe Fixit or Devil Hulk. Let's explore more of Bruce's trauma with his father, his identity disorder, with his mother. There's so much potential with Hulk, and it does seem like they're teasing that, which I really love. I like how they expanded on Bruce's relationship with Tony, and Bruce provides extra dimensions to characters we love that have since left the MCU. Captain America fucks, y'all. It is confirmed. But again, this is a She-Hulk show, right? So we see that Hulk was able to use Jen's blood to heal himself, and for fear that she could end up like he was, he begins to train her on how to be a Hulk. And this is where, once again, people have points of contention, with which I do somewhat agree. It's unclear, at least to me, if it's being shown that she causes more damage here because she's supposed to be stronger than Hulk, which would be valid. Like, yo, she just got her powers and you're making her stronger than her cousin. Like, I know he's not Savage Hulk, but he's still bigger and the more experienced Hulk. But I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt, and I think it's honestly to display how she doesn't have control over her immense powers, at least in this instance. Also, people were complaining that she's constantly demeaning Bruce and trying to make it out to be like, oh, it's a woman better than men type thing. But legit, that's like the most accurate dynamic of cousins that I've seen. Like, that's what cousins do. They bicker, they talk shit. This is pretty much exactly how I speak and act with my cousin, and She-Hulk is as annoying to Bruce as my cousin is to me. Sometimes, right, I still love my cousin to death, but she, like all cousins, will get on your nerves, so I think that was displayed very well. Then of course we have the part about her saying she's better at controlling her anger because she does it infinitely more than Bruce, which in that moment seems inflated as fuck, because while catcalling, I can only imagine, can't be very pleasant, and we haven't really seen a whole lot of incompetent men explain her field of expertise to her. To compare those two to Bruce's trauma of being on the run, being suicidal, being abused, being looked at as a monster even when you save the world, seems pretty dismissive. Again, she's very soon proven wrong when she transforms. At the end of the episode, she does her own version of an apology, so again, it gets addressed quick enough so that it's not a big problem, at least for me. The only problem I saw was legit when she's leaving and that Jeep knocks Hulk into the boulders. Okay, come on, what are we doing here? Okay, and then when she gets that flip in on him, come on. Okay, Hulk, even this new smart Hulk has been to war. Sure, you can say he had his guard down, but even that is a stretch. But I can't lie, it was nice to see some type of Hulk action go down, and again, very cousin-like. We fight all the time. Then in the end, we see her leave, and the show resumes from the beginning where she's in court months later, and Titania comes out of nowhere and swiftly gets her ass kicked, and that's pretty much how those battles go in the comics, or at least the ones that I've read. Jamila Jamil is a baddie, so I'm definitely interested in seeing more of her, and especially what she does with this character. I'm very curious how they handle her origin, because it'd be wild if it had something to do with Doom. I'm betting against that though, because that sounds a little too crazy. Overall, this first episode, I'd say there is a good amount to like for Hulk fans, especially with things they seem to be setting up and teasing. I think overall solid performances from Ruffalo and Tatiana Maslany, and the CGI was surprisingly very good. I thought that was something that we're gonna have a lot of problems with, but I think they really stuck the landing with that. I think the pacing and the length of the episode really hurt it. I feel like the ending came and went too fast, and I wish the episode was 20 minutes longer so we could have established maybe more of Jen's time before hulking out, and then maybe more of her work life, but I assume we'll get more of that in the coming episodes. Again, they're a little heavy-handed with some of their messaging, so we'll see how they handle that throughout the series. This is a show I think that's mostly for women, although there's something for everyone here, so keep that in mind. This isn't for everyone, and that's all good. So for She-Hulk, I will be doing things differently, players. I love making these reviews, but I have other things I want to be able to work on creatively. I don't want for this channel to just be a review Marvel show channel, especially with how much content Marvel plans to put out. It's nice having something set to do, because I've been through times where there's just droughts in content, but I only have so much time available to me between work and YouTube that sometimes it's hard to devote enough time to even get one video out a week. So I'm not going to put out another She-Hulk review until either midway through the season or till the very last episode. As of now, I'm giving the first episode of She-Hulk a fluctuating 5.5 to 6 out of 10. We'll see how that changes as the series goes on. I'm really looking forward to everything that's going to be coming out in this series. Definitely, I want to see Daredevil in that yellow suit. Maybe when he comes out, I'll do an episode review for that. For the most part, I'm going to take it kind of easy with this series. But that's pretty much it, guys. Let me know what you thought of the show, what what you're looking forward to. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Are you even watching the show? Very curious to hear your guys' thoughts. And if you do want me to review every single episode, I'll take that into consideration, of course, but ultimately do what I want to do. But I would like to hear you guys' opinion on that. That is it. If you like the video, leave me a thumbs up, comment down below, and if you want, subscribe. I always appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope all of you guys are well, and I'll see you in the next one.